Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak. I'm going to talk a little bit about Arts Council England's role in the 2012 Cultural Olympiad and on our work in England and internationally, which formed a part of the legacy of 2012. First of all, a distinction. Arts Council England funds and develops arts in England, while the British Council showcases the best of the arts from across the United Kingdom to international audiences. As Graham was saying earlier, partly as a happy consequence of the Cultural Olympiad, we now work with the British Council in ever closer partnership. So, the Arts Council was founded in 1946 by the economist John Maynard Keynes. We are sponsored by the Department for Media, Culture and Sport, but we sit at arm's length from government. Our revenues come partly from taxpayers' money and partly from our national lottery. We have 9 regional offices across England and a 10-year strategy, which was launched in 2010 and refreshed last year, which is called Great Art and Culture for Everyone. We have 5 strategic goals: excellence, audiences, resilience, leadership, and promoting work with and for children and young people. In 2012, we took on responsibility for some of the museums in England and for libraries, as well as the arts. In the last full financial year, we made an investment in arts and culture of around £600 million. If my maths is right, I think that's about 110,000 million yen. And the way that breaks down, just quickly, is about 300 million of that investment was in about 700 organizations which we regularly fund, 70 million on time-limited projects, 70 million on cultural education, about 60 million on museums, 120 million on strategic programs which we use to fill particular gaps, and 3 million, more modestly, on libraries. We fund across 6 different art forms, as well as museums and libraries. And when you break down our investment per citizen per year, it works out as about 14 pence. I think that's about 25 yen per citizen of the country each year. And slightly more than half of that funding goes outside of London. This image here is an attempt we've made to describe the holistic case for the arts. We wanted to find a way of showing in a single image the way in which the arts is important, not just intrinsically for culture, but across every area of society. Society, it's important in terms of health and well-being and identity. Educationally, from primary all the way through university and beyond. And as Graham was mentioning, the economy, also tourism, regeneration, creative industries, and cultural export. So the story about the impact of the arts is much wider than the straightforward cultural case. So, Arts Council England was a principal funder of the London 2012 Festival and Cultural Olympiad. We saw London 2012 as an unprecedented opportunity to bring great art to more people across the United Kingdom. And through our investment, we set out to increase participation in the arts, particularly young people, to increase the profile of our artists and build value for their work, and to strengthen the creative sector by encouraging new partnerships and collaboration. As others have said, politically it was and remains terribly important that a cultural Olympiad reaches beyond the host city to the whole country. So we made strong attempts from early on to make sure that the work and the impact went beyond London. We co-funded creative programmer posts, hosting them in our offices outside London. They ensured that each region was reflected and involved in the Cultural Olympiad. They delivered over 300 events, attracting 4 million attendees. They brought in £40 million worth of investment in Inspire projects. And during the 4 years leading up to the Olympiad, to 2012 rather, they hosted 2,500 open weekends, which were attended by 1.5 million people. So others have mentioned the scale of the achievement. This is just a list of a few of the things that were achieved. There were 13,000 events in 1,200 locations, 200 new commissions, And as others have said, 43 million attenders overall. The statistic I have says that 80% of those attenders were at events for which there was no charge. But of course, all of this wasn't cheap. 126 million pounds is, I think, 23 billion yen. The Arts Council weren't the only funders. There was a big mix of funders. Olympic sponsors, British Petroleum and British Telecom, alongside other partners like the British Council and arts councils in England, Northern Ireland, Wales, and tourism bodies and the Greater London Authority all played their part financially. The diversity of funding was good, but the lack of a dedicated central budget was also challenging. Although London was the Olympic host, there was activity and investment, as I was saying, across the whole country. A region like the southwest, which is on the left there in the blue, a relatively small region of England, did very well, perhaps because with its coastline, it was home to a number of Olympic events. It's also important to note that we encouraged bids from all of the art forms. A combined arts there includes outdoor work and festivals. So, the legacy of the Cultural Olympiad has been powerful in so many areas of our work, but especially in terms of ambition, internationalism, partnership working, and cultural tourism. We've been able to invest in art in more unusual places, and at the site of the Olympic Park in East London, a new arts centre featuring dance, music, and visual arts is being created. Olympicopolis, it's called, and it'll be opened next year. We attracted significant international audiences with large-scale outdoor spectaculars, mass participation events, and events in iconic UK locations, together with innovative premieres of scale, like the Shakespeare Project Globe to Globe in theatre, the Stockhausen Mittwoch Commission in music, and Pina Bausch in dance. Visit Britain reported that creativity, heritage, and culture were the only indicators to show a unanimously positive impact in their review of impact of London 2012 Games on perceptions of Britain overseas. And in 2014, London was crowned the world's top tourist destination, projected to host nearly 19 million international visitors in that year. So the legacy has been impressive, both in terms of cultural relations and cultural tourism. There were over 10 million free opportunities to participate and experience great culture, and we kept prices when we did have to charge as low as possible. Having a UK-wide programme for the Cultural Olympiad and Festival ensured that everybody could say there was something near me. We included the trusted big names, and we promoted to audiences who were coming into the Games by connecting the cultural offer to sporting activity. Graham's referred to the Unlimited programme by deaf and disabled artists, which created a powerful range of work in the Cultural Paralympiad. A few stats on participation. 30% of attendees were 35 or under, 11% of attendees were from minority ethnic groups, 12.5% of attendees were experiencing disability or long-term illness, and there were significant new audiences recorded. I'll pick just one example, but the Royal Shakespeare Company recorded 44% new audiences in the work they did at Stratford-upon-Avon during the festival. Here are some of the headlines of what we learned from 2012, which might be useful for future host cities like Tokyo. We learned that we needed to start with a clear vision and know what the end point was. We had to secure leadership within the cultural sector and within the organising committee. We needed to link wherever possible to key moments in the sports games. And we needed to stick to one brand in the host city and across the country. And finally, we found that we needed to be as flexible as we could so as to include venues and activities which had pre-existing non-Olympic sponsors. So until recently, much of Arts Council England's focus has been on public benefit within England. But the Olympiad made clear how powerful and engaging cultural exchange with international artists can be. A fresh emphasis on cultural exchange had featured in our 2010 10-year strategy, but we had underestimated the power of an international approach until we saw the effect of the Olympics and the Cultural Olympiad in 2012. We started, as Graham mentioned, to work in closer partnership with the British Council in 2011 and refreshed our memorandum of understanding with them in 2013. Together, we've built up a program of shared activity, which includes the co-funding of cultural conferences, joint working on the digital space for the arts, and a shared commitment to the internationalization of the UK's deaf and disabled arts practice. Together also, we've been working on exchange and collaboration projects with other countries, and the first of these focused on the Olympic host country for 2016, Brazil. I've borrowed here a slide which is actually an excellent piece of British Council marketing material for Transform, and I wanted to pick out some of the collaborative strands that we've done, Arts Council and British Council, within the wider British Council programme. Graham's already mentioned the extraordinary appetite for unlimited work across the globe, and that was reflected in Brazil. We've done a literature festival together in the favelas, a number of music and music education projects, a World Biennales festival, and a research project into the possibilities of new media in the creative sphere. A further stimulant to our international ambition has resulted from the Olympics. We are investing £18 million in cultural export and exchange funds in 2015 to 18. And this money has been allocated in part to build on the success of the 2012 Cultural Olympiad, and in part to realize the full potential of England's creative industries on the international marketplace. It is also, of course, in recognition of the fact that artistic ambition is not limited by national boundaries, and that great cultures learn, develop, and grow through exchange, collaboration, and sharing. The Arts Council funds a wide range of international activity, and our approach focuses on exchange, partnership, and growth. We have 3 co-investments with the British Council in addition to Transform. First, through the Artists International Development Fund, our 2 organizations have so far made 231 small awards to artists visiting 73 different countries. The Reimagine India program is a British Council-led operation which the Arts Council is investing in to provide English artists and organizations with the opportunity to work with their counterparts in India. And together we will invest in another country or region of focus in the period between 2016 and 18. The Arts Council has a budget for international market development as well. This isn't a direct co-investment with the British Council, but we're coordinating our efforts to ensure that international bookers and promoters get to see performances, shows, and productions from across the UK in all the art forms. We're also making money available for work from other countries to tour in England. Finally, Arts Council England will be welcoming international projects into our Ambition for Excellence Fund, a space for organizations working in partnership between the established and the emerging to bring us their ideas for a range of bold, innovative activities: residencies, exchanges, mentoring, brokering, co-commissioning or co-creating new work, and leaving a legacy of networks and partnerships. None of this new investment would be happening but for the transforming impact of the Olympics and the Cultural Olympiad in 2012. The original seal of the Arts Council back in 1946 was a unicorn, a creature with magical transformative powers. This symbol reminds us that art really does have the power to transform lives and to unlock the potential of every individual. I want to end, therefore, with a reminder of this transforming power, a haiku which the American poet Ezra Pound wrote in Paris, drawing on a Japanese poetic tradition. It's called In a Station in the Metro, and it goes like this. The apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet black bough. Thank you.